Apple is relatively new to the music streaming game, but they already have 70 million paying customers and their service launched just in 2015. And one of their customers is me, and I've been using Apple Music for a few years now, using Spotify before that, and to be honest, I cannot imagine going back. So in today's video, I would like to give you a closer look at the current state of Apple Music and also tell you why I subscribe to it. So first of all, what's kind of obvious is that Apple Music is very embedded into the Apple ecosystem. Besides being available on all of the Apple devices, including things like watchOS, tvOS and CarPlay, it's even available on Samsung Smart TVs and Amazon Echo devices. And of course, what's actually one of my favorite features of Apple Music is that you can easily access it using Siri. And that means that you can control it from your iPhone, your Apple Watch, your iPad, your Mac, and your Siri remote. Being able to simply say, "Hey Siri, play some music in the living room," and the assistant starts playing music exactly where I said, it's a great feature for me. And also, you don't really have to use HomePod for that. If you have AirPlay 2 enabled speakers, for example Sonos, this is also going to work for you. But there's many more AirPlay 2 enabled speakers available out there, including companies like Bang & Olufsen, Libertone and more. And you also have an option to buy one of the old Airport Extreme, you know, these access points that Apple used to sell, and use one of them as some sort of a Chromecast audio so that you can stream music to any speaker you want. Of course, Apple no longer sells them, but you may find them on something like Facebook Market. As for the Apple Music platform itself, I think there's a few incredible features that Apple does really well. One of my favorite ones are music videos and recordings from live shows that you cannot simply find on Spotify. And another feature that Apple got much better than Spotify are also lyrics. And you may know that on Spotify some of the songs that are more popular will have lyrics from Genius, but on Apple Music it's actually most of the songs available on the platform. And what's even cooler is that the lyrics are synced with the song, so you can simply use it as a karaoke. And it even works with Apple TV, which makes it perfect for that. If you're a huge fan of Discover Weekly and all of the other playlists provided by Spotify, Apple Music also has that. Personalized playlists provided by Apple are Favorite Mix, New Music Mix, Chill Mix, Friends Mix, and recently added Power Mix. Each of them, similar to Spotify, is updated on a weekly basis on a specific day of the week. Besides that, there is a personalized radio station that you can ask Siri to generate for you simply by saying "play some music." After that, you can also access it using the radio tab. And the personalized station is basically an infinite Discover Weekly that constantly gives you new songs based on your music taste. One of the most promoted features of the Apple Music since the very beginning was ItsOne. It's a 24/7 radio station that's available to everyone, not only to Apple Music customers. It's run by a few hosts based around the globe and features interviews with artists, new music releases and more. And the only thing I wish that Apple got better with it is the access to the interviews afterwards, because they're kind of hard to find if you have a specific set of artists that you listen to. Apple Music used to have Connect feature that allowed just for that, where artists were able to share all of the interviews and their posts, but unfortunately Apple got rid of that very recently. As for the social features, there's a few, but they're quite basic. So you can follow your friends who are also using the platform, and based on the music that they're listening to, Apple Music is going to create a friends mix that I mentioned earlier. You can also share playlists that you created, but there is no way to collaborate on one. If you don't want to use any of the social features, you can also set your profile to private or select only a few people who will be able to see what you are listening to. And there is one more feature that Apple recently added, and that's an option to share music to Instagram stories, which Spotify added like ages ago. But of course, Apple Music is still not perfect and there are a few things lacking in the app that I would like to see. First of all, the desktop app. Even though we got a dedicated music app together with macOS Catalina, it's still far from being perfect. Not only is it slow, not only is it buggy, but it still doesn't support handoff, which is actually supported by the Podcasts app, and Spotify got it right with Spotify Connect like ages ago. And I believe that at some point, maybe even with macOS 10.16 that we're gonna see in a week, Apple is going to solve all of these issues by moving music to the Catalyst-based app like Podcasts and TV. And right now it's basically just undercovered iTunes app. I would also like to see Apple Music expanding onto new platforms. I mentioned Samsung Smart TV, which is one of the most recent additions, but I would also like to see it on Google Home and Chromecast. And actually Chromecast and Android Auto are already supported, but only for the Android version. And of course, it would be nice to have a few more social features, like being able to see what your friends are listening to right now. Apple Music got so much better in the past few years. It's a very mature music streaming service that in some ways even surpassed Spotify. For someone like me who is very deeply submerged into the Apple ecosystem, has all of the devices and so on, I think it's a great solution. But for casual users who are already used to Spotify, there are not that many things worth the switch. Although I would say that synced lyrics and music videos are a really great addition to the service. But as I said before, there are still a few things that Apple should really work on, especially the desktop app that's really far behind Spotify. So that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below if you're also using Apple Music or if you are planning on switching to it at some point. Thank you for watching and see you next time.